Well, hello everybody. This is Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and this is, in theory, my very first YouTube video, live video. I have posted quite a few videos from my Facebook page over to here, but I thought it would be fun to try something a little new. So bear with me for just a hot second. I have my computer off screen, off camera to the left, and I'd like to make sure that I'm actually transmitting something. So, oh, I have a notice that says I'm live in my channel, so that is a good thing. Maybe if I refresh this screen, I can see. Oh, look at that, I'm up. Okay, I remember this from my practices. View on YouTube. Okay, and I've got my volume off so I don't have to listen to myself because that is the worstest. Hi, Amy! Yay! It worked! Am I the right way? It looks like I am. On my picture, it looks like I am. So yay! Me and YouTube are not having a very big fight right now. All right, so hi Stephanie, appreciate you joining, and it's kind of an odd time for me. I'll get it settled down in my head one of these days. I think it'll be on Thursdays, probably closer to lunchtime than now, or maybe 1 o'clock. But this one worked for me because it took me a second to get my practice sessions out of the way. Hi Kathy, appreciate you joining. You guys are welcome to leave a comment for me. That's awesome. And if you want to tell me whether this is a good time of the week and of the day, that would be really, really awesome. I don't want to do another evening one. I do my Facebook Lives on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'd like to leave this in the daytime for this second one. Steph, hello on your lunch break. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Amy. Hi, Roberta. All right, we're going to get started. This is the card. You'll see all of the more detailed information on it tomorrow, along with card cuts and the product list. This uses the new Tags in Bloom stamp set. It is from the second Sale-A-Bration release. I know that you have heard that that is coming. We have a new Sale-A-Bration release coming out on the 3rd of March. In fact, I have a digital copy of it out on my blog if you'd like to take a look. But this is the Tags in Bloom, and what's fun about it is that it coordinates perfectly with the 2 punches that are in the current January to June mini catalog. Hi, Earl. Ah, Denise, hello. Thank you for joining. Hi, Nance. Appreciate you joining. Hi, Amy. Anyway, this stamp set works with the Label Me Lovely stamp set and the Label Me Fancy stamp set, which coordinate with the Layered with Kindness. Did I just say these are both stamp sets? These are quite obviously punches, right? Okay, you got what I meant. Punch, punch. They coordinate with the stamp set called Layered with Kindness in the January through June catalog. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is the card. You can see it's kind of bright and springy. It's in Daffodil Delight and Granny Apple Green. And here's the inside. And of course I have decorated my envelope because that's how I roll. And then I've got the Stitch So Sweetly dies right here. So let's get going. Okay, I'm going to set these aside. I've done a little bit of pre-cutting. Lucky for you, I have a black 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock. I've scored and folded it at 5 1/2 to make my card base. And then I have 2 Daffodil Delight mats at 4 by 5 1/4. Again, these card cuts will all be on tomorrow, so you don't have to write them down. Don't be panicking. Then I have a piece of Granny Apple Green, and so I have embossed this in the Brick and Mortar 3D embossing folder. When I emboss, especially in the 3Ds, because they tend to squish out the paper fibers a little bit and change up the size and the squareness sometimes. So what I do is I make my cardstock a little bit bigger than I need, then I emboss it in the embossing folder, and then I trim it down. So this is now trimmed down to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, okay? And we're gonna work with this one first, and then I have another couple of pieces to show. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna vintagize this a little bit with my Craft Whisper White ink pad. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just going to scrape the edge over the raised bricks, like so. And it just kind of, and I'm not going real hard because I really don't want every single brick made light. It just kind of gives it a whitewashed effect that that I think is cool. I'd like to have a wall, maybe not granny apple green, but a wall that has this kind of whitewashed brick in it in my house somewhere. That and shiplap. I have a burning desire for shiplap, but we were pricing shiplap boards today and it was ridiculous. Okay, so that is about as much whiteness as I want. I'll put this away before I put my hand in it. And then I'm going to let this set aside. Remember, the Craft Whisper White takes a hot second to dry. So we're going to let it sit for a second while we work on another part of our parts. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is a piece of Whisper White, and I used the largest of the Stitched So Sweetly dies. This is one of my very, very, very favorite things. It's in the So Sentimental bundle in the January through June catalog. This is my favorite die set ever. Stampin' Up! Please make this continue to on forever. I've used the largest scalloped rectangle and cut one Whisper White and one Daffodil Delight of the same size. We're going to play with the Whisper White for right now. And what I have here is I have the large label die from Tags in Bloom. Now, this picture makes it look like this is all one stamp. In fact, the image here is a stamp, and then Wishing You Best is a separate stamp, which is very, very nice. So you don't have to mess with, you know, masking off if you want to put a different sentiment in there or whatnot. So handy to know that that's a separate stamp. And what I'm going to do is take this stamp. Yay, Roberta, you are going to love them. And I'm going to use Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp it twice on my Whisper White stitched rectangle die. I'm going to stamp it like that. And then I'm going to pick it up. Now, just so you know, I am almost sure going to make a smudge because, you know, that's just how I roll. It's like wearing a white t-shirt. It's just horrible. So thank goodness for rhinestones. And I'm also going to wipe my hand off because, good Lord, yes, that is, yikes, fat fingers, yes. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the border image with the stamped border image, okay? And I'm going to pull it to me just a little bit. So it may get a little bit out of frame, and if it does, I'm sorry, but I need to be able to get over the top of it with my big fat head so that I can make sure it's all lined up. And we're just going to set it down like so. There, I moved my noggin out of the way. Okay, and then we're going to pick it up. And if you've taken your time, then you end up with an image that is lined up on the border, and you get two pretty pieces of flowers. Okay, now let me get some stuff put out of the way so that I don't do something silly like make a mess. I can make a mess so fast I can't even begin to tell you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that aside and let it dry, and we'll get our sentiment all ready to go. What I have here is just a scrap of Whisper White, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment and the border for the sentiment. I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Granny Apple Green. My favorite is green ever. Hello, Teresa. All right. Now I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And then over that in Daffodil Delight, so I've just stamped this sentiment, and now I'm going to stamp this dotted border around it, and then that is going to be punched out perfectly with the punch, and it's going to pop up right over that frame that I just created. Okay, so let's just get that done, shall we? Hi, Kathy. Appreciate you joining from Noonan. All right. Now, we're just going to center this up. Make it as straight as my calibrated Mark I eyeball can make it, which may or may not be all that straight. It's interesting, no matter how easy it is, I can make it not straight. And then we're just going to stick it in the punch and line up the edges. Gotta love a punch. Do you guys love punches as much as I do? I hope you do. I do love my punches. Only thing I love more than punches is embossing folders. I really love them. Okay, here we go. And we'll just punch that out like so and set it aside, and it is ready for us when we need it. Okay, so this should be pretty dry, but I'm gonna give it just a little bit of a dry with the first low setting on my heat tool. I see you all talking. Amy, thank you for answering the questions. That's nice. Just give it a dry because, like the Craft Whisper White, the Tuxedo Black can take a hot second to dry. And I don't like to smudge if I can help it. Okay, now, let me just tell you a little something something. There are images in this stamp set that actually will fill in these flowers. And you are certainly able to do that. If I was doing it, I would fill the flowers in with Daffodil Delight and the leaves in with green, Granny Apple. But I am going to use my blends because I also like how that looks quite a bit. So I have my light and dark Granny Apple green, and I'm going to use the bullet end. Usually I would use the brush tip end, but because these are really pretty small images, I'm using the bullet end. And I'm just going to use the light green to start with and color in all of the leaves like this. And since there's not a whole lot, I think you can actually go ahead and do all of those leaves on each side and then come back. And then I'm just going to do a little really highly technical artistic shading with my dark blend. There. Hey Judy, glad you could join. Yeah, it's too easy to smear this. Also, I can not only smear my image here, I can very easily, and with alarming frequency, I can smear another piece completely and totally different. And I have everything done, and then I see I have a little smear on, say, an envelope. Yeah, okay, so then we'll just do the other side. And it doesn't seem to be smearing, so I think I've actually got it dry enough. And we're just going to keep repeating. So this is going to get a little bit like watching cement dry. Are you guys excited for the second Sale-A-Bration release? I think it's awesome that we get another grouping of goodies. Because I'm excited to get more good free things myself. I like free stuff. And I hope you guys are getting free things, and I hope you're getting the coordination goodies. Those are pretty awesome too, really. I love the dies. Yes, it's true. I like to fussy cut. There's no doubt about that. You're welcome, Deborah. Glad you got it. I hope you'll have fun. Now I'm going to take the bullets. Actually, I'm going to take the brush ends of my light and dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to do my flowers. And so I'm just coloring the whole flower in with the light, and then coming back and giving some shading with the dark blend. Yeah, see how technical this is. You have to go to school for hours and minutes to learn how to color this professionally. Not just everybody can do it. I hope I'm not intimidating you with my incredible skill. All right, we'll turn that around and repeat. Same channel, same as the first. Remember that song? A little bit louder, a little bit worse. Second verse, same as the first, a little bit louder and a little bit worse. Yeah, okay. Maybe I just dated myself, I'm not sure. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I just dated myself. Okay, now I want to show you a little trick, and I learned this a really, really long time ago. Hey, Debbie. I know, right, Roberta? Mad skills. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my light Mango Melody, and I'm just going to do a little touching on the centers and put a little bit of that Mango Melody as part of my shading. It doesn't make you go, oh my gosh, she put Mango Melody on there. But it does add just a little bit of depth to this image. So I learned that a long time ago from Miss Sandy MacGyver. Previously of Washington State, currently of Canada State. Okay. All right, so there's that. Now, let us go ahead and assemblate our card. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to take one of my Daffodil Delight mats, and I'm going to take some liquid glue. Some liquid glue. And we're going to adhere my now dry Whisper White embellished brick and mortar embossed Granny Apple Green card base or card front. I'm gonna just give that a good rub like so. And then we will use some more liquid glue to adhere my Granny Apple Green. No, this is Daffodil Delight. You know how I can tell? Because it's yellow. Okay, put that on there. Now, for those of you who know me, I love Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I want to tell you, don't be disappointed in me. Don't be a hater, and don't think I have absconded to the dark side. What I'm doing is I'm trying an experiment. So what I did is I actually cut my dimensionals in half. Go ahead, Amy, give me some grief. Yes, I did cut the dimensionals in half. And I am not saying I'm going to do this forever, but you know how they say you have to do something for 3 weeks to make it a habit? That's my plan. I'm going to try it for 3 weeks, and if I still hate it, and if it still feels awkward, like you know, standing in front of an audience naked, you know how you do in a dream where you're giving a speech and you're naked? That's how this feels to me right now. It's that awkward. But I'm trying it because I figure if Amy does it, there must be some validity to it. I still actually believe she's wrong, but okay, I'm gonna try it. Okay, so now I have put some of my little half dimensionals. So while there are 9, there are really only 4.5 dimensionals in here. I'm going to put this on. I don't know if it's the best thing ever, but I'm trying it, okay? Not to ever, I don't ever want people to think I do not have an open mind. I do have an open mind. It's just whatever's in my mind is correct and anybody else is incorrect. Okay. So now I'm just going to pop that over the top, and it is going, see, this one is angled and this one is going to be straight. So I'm going to straighten the base so that I have some shot of making it also straight, and we'll do that. Okay. Now let's put a little piece of our, this is the very beautiful Granny Apple Green textured weave ribbon, and we're going to put a little bit of that on here, like so. And we'll cut that off like that. And we'll just put a little bit of liquid glue. And if you're really paying attention, you can kind of make this angle the same as the angle of your Daffodil Delight mat. I like the half ones because I feel like they fit better on most things. They stick just as well. I think they only stick half as good. Debbie has, see, there it is. I may have to actually use 18 on the back to make myself feel comfortable with it, but I'm going, like I said, I'm trying it for a minute. Okay, now I'm going to take my my sentiment, and I'm going to pop it on with more of my little half people dimensionals. And with any luck, it will be perfect. Yes, just like that. Okay. Now, because I can, and because it is my card, I'm going to put some Rhinestone Cowboys. I'm going to put one right there. And I'm going to put another one right here. And I'm going to put another one up there. And that is the card front. Isn't that so cute and cheery and springy? It's so springy. All right, on the inside, now on this last card, what I did is I took my frame image again and I went across the bottom a couple of times. So I'm going to do that again. And while I am doing that, I am going to also do the same on my envelope so that it can be drying at the same time. Because, as I've mentioned, tuxedo black. Green lid glue on ribbon. Yeah, underneath things, it certainly doesn't show. You could also use a little strip of snail, which I would do, but in my highly organized area here, I can't find it right now. So there you have it. Okay, so I'm just gonna ink up the top. And we're gonna put that around the bottom just a couple of times. Like so. And I think I'll go up the side a little bit. And then I'm going to set that aside so I hopefully don't get my big old hand in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe that, because even though it's on paper, I'm just telling you, because it takes a minute to dry, even on paper, it could actually get everywhere. And I know this because I've done it. We'll give it another one on the bottom of my envelope. And we'll set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to put this away so I don't make a big old mess. A big old honking mess. You know, I feel some pretty significant fear when I am working with white and black, because of the aforementioned ability to get it everywhere. Just throwing that out there. So now, because I wasn't right together, my only problem is I did not get my DSP out, so I'm going to pull some of that out right now. I'm getting it right now while you guys are on the other line. I'm getting it out right now. There we go. Okay, so this will be ready. Okay, so now it's really just a matter of putting on a sentiment, and I'm going to send some hugs in Granny Apple Green. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Deborah. That's sweet. This is a cute, cute set. We've got some really, really cute sets coming. There. Sending hugs. Okay. Now, it's just a matter of colorating. Let's do a little drying first, because, you know, that's what we should do, is dry. All right. Black is tricky, right? Black is tricky because even when you think it is dry, sometimes there's places that aren't. Okay, so again with my Granny Apple Green, I know you're fascinated by my technique here. So let's go ahead and color in our leaves. And that is the base of a flower. Now let me just give you a little tip. I'm going to show you something when we get to the envelope. I'm going to do this first and then we'll get to the envelope. All right. And then come back with our darker Granny Apple Green. Like so. Okay. Now, just so you know, today is the 13th. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so don't forget to give your honey a card of some ilk. I know that men, there's nothing men like more than a card. And when you get some roses, let me know that you got roses. Also, don't forget my Sticky Sweet ordering special ends tomorrow night. So you've still got time to score some adhesive. Okay. Now let me show you, we're going to get the envelope started here real quick, and I want to just show you what I do. I have got my acetate. Yes. Yes, yes, Barb, you are correct, and Roberta, that is correct. The only problem is when you have, like, you know, an envelope, you really can't actually put rhinestones on the front of most envelopes. Now, if you want to say for certain sure that your card is going to be hand delivered, then yes, you can do that. Now, what I did is I took my old acetate from my Stamp-A-Majig and I stuck it inside the envelope, because when you use blends, you know that that bleeds through, and I have actually had it bleed out into my envelope, and that is always discouraging. Just saying. Thanks, Georgianne. All right, so now let me tell you a little trick. When you have an image that's right on the edge of your envelope and you're using blends, you need to be careful that you don't get real busy on the edges, because it will in fact bleed over to the back of your envelope. It'll just bleed right around that little edge right there. So here's how I do that. I've got my light and I'm coloring here, but when I get to the edge, I'm more like flicking it. Does that make sense? Did that make sense to you at all? So like I'm not coloring like I'm doing here. I'm just flicking so that I'm not really ever touching the edge of my envelope. That makes perfect sense, right? You totally got what I meant by that, right? And I'm doing the same over here. And we'll get the dark in. I learned that the hard way by coloring very artistically something and then looking and seeing all of the coloring on the back. And that was pretty discouraging, I have to say. I have to say. There you go. Thanks, Kathy. Glad that made sense. Okay. And then we're going to be careful here as well. Okay, and so there's the Granny Apple Green done. And now we'll do pretty much the same thing with our Daffodil Delight. And we can use the bullet side on that because it's a little bigger image that we're coloring. Okay. Yeah, smearing black ink, gosh, it's really depressing. Really very depressing, because it just happens in a heartbeat, and no matter how good your ink eraser is, it is hard pressed to get black out, certainly off of white cardstock. Okay, you can see I'm not being very precise. I'm trusting the tuxedo black to not smear around on me. And then we'll come back with some dark daffodil. I'll have to be real careful there when I get to that on the envelope flap, because otherwise it'll get too jiggy on me and go crazy. It will go crazy all over the place, and that will be bad. And I'm just going to go ahead and color all the dark parts, because I think I can get it blended in time, because I'm moving at the speed of heat. I feel the need for speed. Can you even believe that there is going to be a sequel of Tom Cruise's Top Gun? Do you know Top Gun was the very first date my husband and I ever went on? Top Gun, the movie. I hear that song and I'm flashed right back to that movie theater. We watched the movie, just in case you are thinking otherwise. We absolutely watched the movie. It was so good. Only worst colors are reds and dark. Yes, 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 yes. Those go everywhere in a heartbeat. And there must be something about the formula. See how I'm being real careful around the edges? I don't want to get too pushy, pushing ink that way on the edges. There's just something about the formulation and the reds and the blacks and that Craft Whisper White that does not want to dry. Even when your brain tells you it has to be dry because it's been so freaking long, even then it's not always dry. So I have been known to take a piece of clean paper towel and daub like that. Don't rub, daub straight down, and then you can check to see if you've got black ink coming up, and if you do, you know you've got to do a little better in the waiting for it to dry arena. All right, so we'll just do one last little bit there, and then we'll pull out that Mango Melody and add another little bit of depth. No, you are welcome to keep that to yourself Also because I don't want you to incriminate yourself by either lying and saying you were like 10, Amy, or by letting everybody know that you're almost as old as I am. You are not even close to as old as I am, I know that. But no, please don't tell everybody. I was quite young myself. I think I was only, my husband and I got married very young. No, not really. Yeah, I was pretty old. I was old. In dating years, I was old and very naive and young. Okay. See how that adds just a little depth? I don't know if you can tell, but it really draws out that mango melody really draws out the Daffodil Delight. So if you have mango and you're using the daffodil, I would use it. You know, I think you could maybe even also use it if you were, use your light mango if you were doing a So Saffron coloring. I would try it. I mean, the worst that'll happen is you think, oh no, that's no good. Don't ever do it again. And then you go on, because what? It's paper. It's just paper. Paper. All right, so let's go ahead and get this put together, and we'll be done-ske. We'll be done-ske. And I'm using liquid glue. It's really my favorite adhesive of all. Well, with the exception of Stamps-N-Dimensionals, but those are a completely different application, right? Okay, and we'll put it on our Daffodil Delight mat. And then into a basic black card base. I love green, yellow, and black. It's almost as good, actually I think it's better myself, as red, pink, and black with, of course, white thrown in. This is just one of my favorite color combinations right here. Makes you think of spring, doesn't it? Just makes you think of spring. Now I have to do some dimensional cutting if I'm going to keep up with my plan. Okay, so I'm just cutting straight up like that. And then I have to find my card front. There it is right there. Okay. And then, see, look how that comes off. That's almost the exactly right number of dimensionals. Isn't that weird? I don't know how that does that. How does it know? Have you ever wondered how a thermos knows whether it's supposed to keep something hot or something cold? These are the kinds of things that worry me at 2 in the morning. No, not really. Not really. Don't worry about it. I just know that the good people at Thermos know what they're doing and will do the right thing when I put my food or liquid in there. Isn't that the reason to have the tiny dimensionals? I know. Not the reason to have the tiny dimensionals. Little ones are too small. Ah. You're welcome, Judy. Yeah, I love the glue. We used to ask the question, if you were on a deserted island and being on a deserted island, what you were worried about was which adhesive you could have. Because, yeah, that would be the thing you'd be the most worried about. Which one would it be? Well, I think it would have to be liquid glue for me because, let me just be sure that's on right. Yeah. Because although dimensionals are my favoriteest thing, you can really do quite a bit more with liquid glue. Alrighty. Now, on my envelope, because I did not use a DSP on the card, what I did is I pulled out some Granny Apple Green from the Brights DSP pack, the 6x6, and I'm just going to adhere that on my envelope flap. Glue dots? Yeah, that is true. Those are pretty awesome. That is true. See, now you've got me questioning my survival skills. Shoot fire. But see, putting on my envelope flap covering, my decoration, would be a lot more tedious and persnickety with glue dots. See how easy and quick that is with liquid glue? Just saying, boom, liquid glue remains the favorite. Just like that, liquid glue is the favorite. I think if I'm ever going to be deserted, I'm going to petition to have all of my adhesives. Like if I could get them all in a large utility tote, can I take everything that I want that I can get in a large utility tote? That's what I would do. Okay, and there we go. A springy little card to send some encouragement or send a little love to anybody that you know. So anyway, this is called the Tags in Bloom stamp set. It's coming out in the second Sale-A-Bration release on the 3rd of March. Please take advantage of my, speaking of glue, sticky sweet adhesive ordering special. Goes through tomorrow. You can get all the information on my blog, and I will be posting a link to the blog that will go live tomorrow. It isn't ready yet, but you'll see it in this in the description for the video. Thank you so much for joining me on my first ever YouTube Live. It will not be my last. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.